What is up, you guys? Matt McKeever here, and so I'm coming to you today from the Zahnd team's office, and so we're going to be sitting down with Steve. He's going to be breaking down for us exactly his backstory, diving into how he's built up the team that he has. They're actually just nerding out right now on stats. They've built up this amazing system, Houseable, which allows them to track their leads, their sources. It's mind-blowing. I don't think there's a lot of realtors or realtor teams out there that are doing this stuff. And beyond that, they're just crushing it here in their market, their home market of Guelph. Steve was saying, I think they have 5 agents, and the lowest sales volume that an agent did last year was 13 million, I think. The highest was over 20 million. So these guys definitely know what they're doing when it comes to selling real estate. So let's sit down, talk to Steve, and find out his backstory. What is up, you guys? Matt McKeever here with Steve from the Zahn team. And so just thought we'd sit down with Steve today and kind of discuss his backstory. It's a pretty interesting backstory. So just kind of start us off right at the beginning, Steve, if you don't mind. So you started university originally for political science, you were saying, or history?
History, political science. I got in university, the typical thing, right? Like you get out of high school, go to university.
Yeah.
So I was in university. I actually dropped out my third year because I didn't know what I was doing. So I actually started selling cell phones for Bell Canada. It was my first real job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I decided to go back to university.
Yeah.
And then finish my degree. And I finished my degree while I was working for my dad's real estate company, being an administrative assistant.
Right. And so essentially you were kind of always exposed to real estate, but became a realtor in 2010?
Yeah, so I had my real estate license like probably in 2008, but I never used it. So I was working, like I said, for my for the Zahn real estate at that time, and I was an administrative assistant for my brother and for the agents that we had there. But at some point, those guys weren't doing deals anymore, so that company no longer existed. So I got laid off from that job, and I didn't really do anything after that. I was kind of lost there for maybe a year. And then what happened is my wife and I, we kind of had a baby unexpectedly, or we're going to have a baby, so then I was like, I had to get serious and make a decision. Yeah. The one thing I knew for sure was that I was going to be a supportive father, and I wanted to make it happen. So I chose real estate as my avenue, but I was almost going back to school to become an accountant before I decided to jump into real estate.
Right. And so now kind of fast forwarding or skipping ahead, we're now sitting in the boardroom of your office for the Zahn team. Yeah. And at what point in time did you realize that this was going to happen, or has it just been one step at a time?
I don't think I knew that this specifically was going to happen. It was around, I guess, June 2010, or just a couple months before that. I was actually considering getting out of the business. Super unhappy. I was doing okay. I was doing all right. Like my gross is really good, but my net to myself after I paid off all my expenses and was trying, experimenting with marketing and just not knowing what I was doing in terms of being a business owner. I had no idea. So I was spending way too much money and keeping very little for myself, and it was very stressful. So I was very unhappy, and I was gonna kind of get out of the business. And I got a marketing email from a business coach. Said, are you the CEO of your own business? And I just kind of looked at that and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no systems. I have no strategies. I'm just winging it. Like my presentation's no good. I don't even know if I'm adding any value to anybody. So I was like, I'm gonna get it. I actually applied to Tesla. I was like, I want to work for Elon Musk. That's what I thought. But anyways, so I got that email and I reached out to the coaching company, and then we got started, and he was kind of a first sort of personal development. Yeah. So the first book he gave me was Darren Hardy's Compound Effect. So I read that. It was awesome, and then it was about strategic planning. So he kind of got my head right first, and then he's like, okay, now let's focus on building a business, right? Mm-hmm. So then I built my first strategic plan using the Bernhardt's scaling up method. I presented it to the team that I had in the office. So actually, there was a couple of people that weren't even on my team that were kind of like curious what I was doing. And I it wasn't a boardroom like this, but we sat down and I was like, this is my plan. Who's coming with me? Like Jerry McGuire moment and whatever the guy's name is. Yeah. And they came with me. So yeah.
So do you remember? Are you able to share that with us? What that original vision was?
It was a long time ago. I forget the exact words of it, but it was something along the lines of just revolutionizing the real estate industry. It was very highly hyped. It was
Yeah.
a very hyping kind of mission.
A big vision.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, and we wanted to. It was a good tagline because like the #1 realtor at the time in our market was the Go Wild team. So our mission was to get wild. So we wanted to take them in the market. But that was very early on when we were doing our first strategic plan, and we actually left our existing brokerage at that time, and we started our own brokerage and moved into the basement of my house, and the whole team. So we had about 5 people in my basement on a daily basis.
Yeah. Really living that kind of startup life.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was probably one of the best times I remember.
So I know before we started filming, we were kind of chatting, and you explained really the impact that this business coach had on you, right? And like the value you got from building that strategic vision. And I think it's something that I frequently see a lot of other entrepreneurs fall victim to is you either get on this treadmill of just like putting out that immediate fire and just kind of surviving like on a treadmill, or you end up just building yourself a really well-paying job, but you haven't built systems or processes or a bigger picture. Do you mind just sharing like why do you think that was so important, or why did that switch get flipped in 2010 where you went from not really enjoying the process, almost quitting, to now, this?
Right, that's a great question. I mean, I personally think strategic planning got us to where we are today is because when we're just grinding it out and not looking to where we want to go, you're kind of just spinning wheels, like you said. You're on a hamster wheel, you think you're doing better, and like you're kind of just trying to figure it out. With strategic planning, it allows us, every quarter we do quarterly strategic planning, so it allows you to step away from the business and then really ask yourself, what do I want to do with my life? I mean, and like, what do I want to do with my business?
Yeah.
Do I want it to mean something, or do I just, want to make money, right? So for us, I think it really was about, it had to mean something. It had to mean something for me anyways. So we gave it meaning and we gave it purpose, and then we started on the journey of making steps towards that vision, right? So if you have no vision and you're kind of just in the dark, you're kind of just like lost all the time. You don't really know where you're going. As soon as we created the vision, we had a clear direction of where we wanted to go. Doesn't mean we necessarily went in a perfectly straight line, but maybe we zigzagged a little bit. And the cool thing is like when we started going up the mountain, so the BHAG, like the Big Hairy Audacious Goal, we start going up the mountain. It's cool because then you can start seeing other horizons, right? So for us, we started going up this mountain and we saw that maybe this wasn't the perfect path, but we had to get to this level to see that it wasn't the perfect path, because now we could see an alternate route.
Right.
So every quarterly strategy was about just reevaluating where we were, looking down the mountain, looking back up, and then kind of saying, okay, which peak do we want to go for, right?
Yeah.
So it just gave us a purpose to push forward, and I don't think the team would have ever stayed together if we didn't come together as a group around a common goal, right?
Yeah.
So that's why the power of strategic planning really happened. It not only gave us a mission and gave us a direction, it also gave us culture. It gave us people that buy into a common desire and a common goal. And from that really spawned like the culture of growth, right? Because we all wanted to learn. We didn't want to just kind of, once one person really started going forward in personal development, no one wanted to be left behind, right? So everyone just kept pushing each other. And also we created this culture of accountability because we were looking at the numbers and just saying, well, how do we get here? Well, we have to do X, Y, and Z. What's your take on this? What's your portion of this? And then now all of a sudden we're holding each other accountable through strategic planning as well.
Yeah.
So for me, strategic planning was literally the only thing that probably saved me from getting out of the real estate business, and then getting the buy-in from everyone.
Yeah.
And then having that constant progression.
Yeah. So another question that I really wanted to ask you about was growing your team and getting them to buy into that vision, and then how you were able to cultivate that culture and sustain it. I know I've been binging a lot of Masters of Scale podcasts recently, Reid Hoffman, who was one of the LinkedIn guys. And one of his big factors, or one of his big points he always hits home on, is that the first 15 hires are most critical, that you can destroy your business with the wrong hire in those first 15 people.
Right.
So do you mind kind of laying it out for the audience? How do you approach bringing someone new onto your team, and how do you decide that they're the right fit for the vision and the culture you're trying to create?
Sure. So hiring new people is definitely interesting because we now use the Darren Hardy process to hire people.
Okay.
So and it all ties back to mission and vision, because if you read the book Beyond Entrepreneurship, it's a book that Jim Collins wrote, co-authored.
Okay.
And it's all about, you know, how you, what's a vision, right? So a mission has 3 components. It's your core values. So your vision is your core values, your mission, and then your behead, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then your core values are your hiring and firing decision-making filters. So if you create a culture, and so the team and I got together at a strategic planning session. It's like, what's our core values? And we challenged each other and got them all on the table. So it was growth, innovation, passion, trust, 100, 0. So we just found that those were the ones that were really important to us. And if we were going to hire anyone, they had to fit those core values. Otherwise, we're hiring people that are misaligned to the team. So anyone can get behind a mission and work in a company, but if you miss the core values, then you're just going to start putting toxic people into your environment, right? So what we do is, like, we go through I think it's about a 4 or 5 step interview process, where they have to submit an application, then they submit a video, and then we have them have an in-office interview, and then we have a lunch interview, and then we have a coffee interview.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's thorough.
Yeah. It's cool, because then you get to see them in different atmospheres.
Yeah.
You get to see them here, and then you get to see them in outside of the office, and then obviously if they're putting themselves on video, they're getting out of the comfort zone usually, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a really cool filter process, because I mean, for the first time when we put up a posting, we had about 80 applicants per position, and we did 3, so we got 150 applicants. And then when it came down to the video, it got down to 20, and then it got down, so just kept filtering.
Yeah.
And
so did you have any trouble at the start with the people that you kind of inherited or already were working once you kind of did lay out that vision? Was it hard to get them all to buy in?
I actually forgot about that. So when we went to the basement, it wasn't just the team that we have here, it was actually, I had my dad's farm guys that came in, and they were a part of the team, but they weren't part of the culture, right? So I was running almost a hybrid, and it became very quickly apparent that running a hybrid isn't really the best way to go, and there was a lot of conflict there. So it was probably one of the hardest decisions that happened, where we had to part ways with them. And I think that really, for the team that saw that happen, they really saw that how committed we were to what we were trying to accomplish. So it definitely was a lot of road bumps, like even with the internal team, because we didn't go through the hiring process. We started, where we are today isn't where we were when we started. So we went through a lot of growth and pains ourselves. And I think what really kept us all together was just, making sure that your people are a core value fit, even though we didn't know at that time, but also that there's always a greater opportunity, right? Because in the real estate business, there's a lot of ego in real estate, right? And then it's also about splits and what you're keeping and not keeping. And when you're building a company like this, you have to have a lot of people buying into the company first and not me first. And that's hard. I mean, that's hard, especially for real estate. So what I think happened is that, we all just bought in, and then we also were always looking at quarterly strategy, and then now with the potential technology company and marketing company we're building, it's about creating greater opportunity. So if you can because people only leave you for what they perceive to be a better opportunity.
Yes, yeah.
So so it's my job to make sure that everyone always sees and believes that the opportunity is always greater to be here at the end of the day.
Yeah. And so how are you communicating that roadmap to everyone to make sure that they understand not only where you are today, but where you go tomorrow, next week, and month and years after? Yeah,
so it's a lot of it. I mean, it's all within books. I mean, there's a lot of books out there, and the way we kind of process it. So I've taken a couple different things from different books and kind of rolled it in. So we do our quarterly strategy, and then
And so what does that actually look like? Is that everyone sitting around this board table, or is that like you're going out partying and having like a low stress environment? Like what sort of?
No, I love it. What happens is we have a pre-strategy, so I get everyone's voice on the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats of the company. We do employee reviews with everybody, and then we just I'll do a personal development goal setting day. So that's all done before strategy, so then I know what everyone's goals are, and then I get everyone's opinion on what the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the company are, as well as what they think the next quarterly priorities are. So everyone gets an opinion and a say on that. So then I take the team, mostly just the original team, and now we just added our business coach flew down, and we brought another team member for the first time to kind of document the process as well, which is pretty cool. And then we go there and offsite. Like, we did it once here because it was a brand new office, but I mean, the power of going offsite was very evident in this last quarterly strategy. I mean, just even driving to the destination, you're already disconnecting from your day-to-day life, right? So then you're already getting out of the weeds. Just the drive disconnects you from the weeds, because when you're in strategy, you want to think as high level as possible, right? So we go off-site. It's usually 2 to 3 days, and then just thinking about what we want to do for the next quarter, where are the opportunities we take advantage of. And then when we figure out the plan and dial in the plan, we come back and then we do a quarterly kickoff, which is announcing to the whole company all the things that were our priority and who's going to be a contributor to that priority, and what we're going to all try to accomplish. So then we do the quarterly kickoff, and then every month, so that in that quarterly kickoff is like, hey, this is what we're going to try to accomplish for this month. And then we have weekly check-ins. Every single Monday we're checking in towards our progress towards that month. And then at the end of the month, we look at what we want to do for the quarter, how far we came. It's like, okay, now how are we going to get closer to that quarterly priority, if it still is, in this next month, and then have weekly check-ins. So it goes quarter, month, week. So then you're always checking in on the progress of your goal.
And so does like building these sort of systems and processes come naturally to you? And the reason I ask is because like it doesn't to me at all. Like the idea of this sounds amazing. I'm like, yes, I need to start implementing this for me and my guys. And then I'm like, oh, that's never actually going to happen. Because like, I don't know, it can be really hard when you're in the trenches to still see that like you need to plan that grand strategy rather than just focus on this week's tactics.
Right.
So like, is that something that comes natural to you, or is it something your business coach is helping? Or?
No, it's not only my business coach, but it's also like, you know, I don't just invest in business coaching, I also invest in other mentors as well. And, and if you're putting money into teaching and learning, I mean, if you're just going to let that advice sit on the table, I mean, I think you're making a mistake. But it's a lot of work to implement. So I mean, so what I do is I see that, okay, we need to implement these communication systems. So they're not going to install themselves, and not everyone's going to buy into them right away unless I make it a mandatory thing as well, and like show value within it. So it's a lot of iteration. I mean, I've been doing this now for 4 years in the company, and like I think we really started finding our stride maybe a year and a half ago. Maybe 2 years ago potentially. And it just took a lot of, I just sat in front of my computer, I documented it all out, and I said, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to give it a good try. And I mean, everyone has a say if it's worth it or not worth it. And if everyone says it's not worth it, fine, we'll figure out a different way. But I always challenge if the weekly meetings are worth it, and everyone always tells me that they love it because they come in and check in, they tell us what the vital priorities are for the week, so that everyone knows what the big jobs they have to do for that week. I mean, it's definitely worth it, but it's not natural. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. You just gotta be willing to sink it in, I guess.
I'm glad to hear that. That's at least going to be some motivation for me to spend the time and the effort on it. So maybe before we wrap up this video, do you mind telling us, so now that you're on this new pinnacle, what new plateaus or what new pinnacles do you see off in the distance for you and your team?
I mean, this year we kind of had a split focus because we were looking at running the real estate company, and then we were also looking at trying to launch our technology company. And it turned out to be a little bit premature on the technology side. So what we really decided to figure out is the technology and the secondary opportunities will only come, and they'll come a lot easier if we absolutely dominate our core business first. If we dominate our core business, then we're going to get people asking, hey, what's going on? Like, I think we're already doing a good job, but we just don't have the, we're just not out there enough. People just don't know who we are yet. So essentially what we've done for now is just set some really massive goals for 2019. We have 5 sales agents, and our goal is to do 90 million in real estate volume. So we just absolutely want to crush it, and then we want to get all 5-star reviews from everyone. So we want to get to about 250 5-star reviews on both Facebook and Google. So that would be a pretty great accomplishment. And then the other kind of big goal is, you know, if we do this and we do it publicly, so, you know, having our team, you know, making sure they're highlighting us, kind of like this, but not to this level. You guys are crushing this. But I mean, just to keep documenting and putting it out there that other realtors are going to reach out to us.
Yeah.
And say, hey, what are you guys doing? And then it's going to give us an opportunity to say, and these are the scripts, these are presentations, this is the technology we use, it runs all this, and then through that we're going to get organic growth and more do like a grassroots kind of beginning versus like a heavy marketing campaign and like trying to sell 1,000 people.
Really trying to pull people rather than push them.
Because I mean, one of our purpose as a group of people, not even just as a company, is to empower people through growth and innovation. And the last thing that's really important is those that choose to raise their standards. So I feel like if you're just going guerrilla marketing tactics and trying to get all these people to come into your business, you're just trying to hope that anyone does it. So it's like kind of like the old brokerage real estate model, hiring with a license and a heartbeat. And the really critical part is that those that choose to raise their standards. So when people are coming to us to say, hey, can we get help? They're self-selecting themselves. And if people are self-selecting themselves, it means they are choosing to raise their standards, and those are the people we want to work with. Like those are the ICPs. I think Jim Rohn, I think it was Jim Rohn that said it, that he was gonna help people even if it killed him, and then he almost died. Right? So it's like only help people that actually want to be helped, otherwise you're gonna kill yourself. Right? Yeah. So that's the kind of model we're going for.
That's awesome. That's perfect, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down for us. So before I do my outro, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
You can check us out on Facebook. So it's the Zahnd Team Real Estate Advisors on Facebook, and then you can find me at steve.zahnd or search Steve Zahnd on Facebook and get a hold of me there, or Instagram.
I'll throw some link from the video description down below so you guys can reach out to Steve. But if you guys enjoyed this video, if you like what I'm trying to do with my channel, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel, and until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than that money in this world for us to all make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point, guys? Thanks. Bye.